everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Well, seeing all those presentations before and talking about connectivity in places, in rural locations and isolated locations, it made me think a little bit about what got me here and the journey I took here with my earlier life with no connectivity. I was born and raised in Belgium at a time well before the internet, and as you can tell, and especially the blow up there on the screen on my picture with all those wrinkles. So when I was 12 years old, actually, I got a calendar with steam engines from my uncle, and I decided to build one and to figure out how it worked. And I tried for a couple of years, and I ended up buying a welding machine, and I decided to build one out of metal. And you believe it or not, it's actually easier to build rockets than build steam engines. So I started building rockets instead in my garage with all the consequences you can imagine. I didn't have access to internet back then, so I could have bought the right chemicals. And unfortunately for my parents, I bought the wrong ones, whatever I could find at the local chemist. And I had a few near-death experiences with my brother. So it was a few years of terrors for my parents after this. And then I guess when I was 17, I decided to build a jet engine instead. Because I thought it was a bit more stable and it would use fuel instead of rocket propellant. So there again we had a few experience with fire extinguishers. So my parents sent me to engineering school just to make sure I knew what I was doing. I'm not sure I do still, but so anyway, I remember that the night before my final exam in propulsion, actually in engineering, I had visited a friend who was a technician in the local airline, a more defunct airline actually, the Belgian airline, and he told me all those things that I could have found on the internet, and there was no internet back then. It was in 1991, I guess there was some internet, but hardly any. So, and I impressed the professor the next day, because he thought, well, where can he get all this information? He must be really into this stuff. So he offered me a master in NATO Finance Institute in aerospace. So I got 1 year of master studies in propulsion. Then the next year again, I was confronted with a lack of information when Belgium was actually preparing cancelling its compulsory national service, and I was apparently the only one who didn't know that. So I was enlisted. And all my friends were not, so I was pretty much the only one there. So fortunately, they put me in the Royal Military Academy, and I started playing with some missiles there, so some more serious stuff. Oops. That was not a missile, fortunately. So after this, well, I guess it took me for the next step. Then I started working for a small satellite operator company after this. Now they're #1 in the world, but back then there was an obscure, almost James Bond looking facility when I first went there, and in the middle of Luxembourg. And there I started learning about satellites. I contributed to the launch of 7 satellites, very big stuff. That was really fun actually for about 8 years. I operated 12 satellites in outer space. And then I decided that was enough, and I went on to something a bit more desk type of job. So I took a business degree and then started looking at data after that. My main focus was data on connectivity, data on satellite, data that were produced by satellite, and that could, how can satellite serve the world better? And I worked for different firms after this and really try to apply all the things that I learned in the technology years, especially in everything I had to do with satellite navigation and guidance, and apply that to digging up and mining data and business data. And after 10 years, in 2013, I had developed a lot of models in satellite broadband data and tried to figure out exactly where you'd have to put the next satellite broadband service. And with all those models, I applied a strategy that's called the blue ocean strategy. And that strategy took me actually literally to the blue ocean, because what popped out of all those models was the Pacific. It was really interesting how the Pacific is actually the place that craves the most for connectivity, and that has the highest discrepancy of supply and demand per capita. It's not a big market, but per capita in the world. So I really started scratching my head on how do we address this market? It's a small market. It does not justify a full satellite. You can't put a full satellite over the Pacific because it doesn't make sense. It's too expensive. So can I actually do a little bit like our friends from the cable world? Can I build a satellite and serve other markets, and then put, by the way, some connectivity on the Pacific at the same cost I would use in other markets? So we built a satellite, we designed a satellite that would cover Indonesia, the Philippines, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, and then all the Pacific Island. And we had, with this kind of market, we had the critical mass. So without subsidizing anything, without needing donation, without needing anything else, and a pure commercial system that would have the critical mass and the economies of scales to serve the Pacific at a cost that is lower than ADSL. So that is what you have today with this latest satellite technology. Satellite has not been sitting on its hands since 1969 when the man landed on the moon. It has been quite a few years since then, and the technology that you have through satellite is at par with what you get with all the terrestrial means. And it is the right technology for you. If I take the Pacific at large, so the Pacific is not only the Pacific Islands, but I empower the Pacific with the right amount of broadband at the right price. And the Pacific is the Philippines as well, some parts of the Philippines, Papua New Guinea, even some islands of Indonesia, of eastern Indonesia or West Papua. So if you provide the right level of internet, if you provide a price of internet at the right quality that allows all those locations, including the Pacific Island, to reach the internet penetration that would be at par with other countries with the same GDP per capita, the same literacy, but that have a better internet connectivity, you'd have an additional 27 million jobs in all those locations. I'm not just talking about the Pacific, of course, that would not even have enough people to fill those 27 million, but in total, you'd have a substantial amount of job creation, of value creation. You'd have a decrease in extreme poverty by 16%. You'd have a GDP per capita of another $600 per year. That means that every one of you in the Pacific would earn another $600 per year, just because a company provides the right internet at the right price. So those are pictures of Tokelau. Actually, my colleague did the trip of 36 hours by boat to go and check it out. And we signed actually a contract with Tokelau. So it's not like Tokelau doesn't have anything. We are going to start serving them this year with high-speed internet at the right price. So when you look at this, you have the foreign aid computers. It's great, and they should have it. But they're packed and they're not connected. There's no internet. And the same with the ECG equipment. It could be connected to the internet and it isn't. So what's our solution? Our solution is a very frugal approach to the design and the operations. How do we do this? First of all, like I said, we have built the critical mass to build a satellite. It was still not enough for a full satellite. So we went to shop around across 10 or 15 different satellite operators that already fly satellite, and we told them, look, we want to build a satellite for the Pacific with this new technology that is not around here. It's only used in Europe and in the US today. 2 million American households are on this technology today. But we told them, can you build a satellite with us? Do you need half a satellite? Can you put your equipment on half the satellite? And of course, it was not easy to find, but we found one partner. It's an established satellite operator that already flies about 15 satellites today. And they said, yes, we have the right demand. We can do that. We want to build half a satellite. Can we build half a satellite with you? So we've been working at this for the last 3 years. Now we're about to select our manufacturer. But we are extremely frugal in everything we do, so that every penny we save is a penny we pass to the Pacific in order to cut your cost of the internet. So today, our company has been in operation for the last 3 years. It's been extremely efficient. It's clocked in already $365 million of sales across Indonesia, Philippines, the Pacific, and New Zealand. We have actually sold all our bandwidth in New Zealand already. We have sold $40 million of bandwidth in Papua New Guinea. And we're about to become real later this year already with an interim service, not our final satellite, but our satellite will be in the factory in August. We are already today, and I'm going to show that later, we are already today starting to serve Vanuatu. So it's a technology commitment that we've made. It's a bet on the high frequency Ka band. It's a very high frequency technology that carries an amazing massive amount of bandwidth at a very low cost. And we think this is the right technology for the Pacific because you can access it with very small antennas. You can put it on every roof. One antenna costs $300 and it can serve a village, an entire village, and it provides 50 megabit per second. We are covering 22 countries in total. So it is a direct-to-premise technology. We are easily deployable, and like I said, it's already in the US, and now Australia just launched the same satellite, but just to cover Australia. They don't cover the Pacific. We're not covering Australia. We let them do that in Australia, but we cover everything else around us than Australia. So this is our offer here, and this is retail offer. What we think in average across the Pacific, of course you can find examples that are different, but what we think is, okay, you can get an average of 5 megabit per second at $10 per gigabyte. What our offer will be, or is already in Vanuatu, would be $2 per gigabyte at retail use, okay? And that is for a service that you will get up to 50 megabit per second with the satellite. It's unheard of in the Pacific. We had in Vanuatu, when people saw this terminal at work, they just couldn't believe it. Every official of the government wants one in his backyard. So, of course, people have talked about us outside of the Pacific already. We've got calls from Falkland Islands, we've got calls from Central Asia, from the Himalayas, from the Indian Ocean, from the Comore Island, from the Seychelles. They're saying, well, are you going to put a satellite over our place as well? Because nobody cares about us. So we think it's a sensible solution for e-education because this is our bandwidth that has been sold today in all those locations is going to serve mainly education. That is exactly the right technology for e-education, and it's finally the right platform to do that. It's a nimble solution, it's easy to deploy, and it's extremely useful in case of disaster. So the Vanuatu case, I'm going to show you a few slides here. We're partnering with the regulator, that's the Universal Access Policy. So today it's the first deployment. We have managed to get very low cost bandwidth from an existing satellite. And we don't want to sell it. We could sell it at a very high price. What we did here, we told it that we gave, the partner, the satellite operator, gave it at almost at free for us, at a free cost. So we decided, okay, what we're going to do with this, instead of making money out of that, we're going to price it at the level that we will have with our final satellite and demonstrate what it would look like for when our future satellite is there. And so we have connected 8 isolated schools in the north of Vanuatu and 2 clinics there. This is the very small terminal there. Those are the type of schools that you have there. They didn't have any connectivity. So when we deployed that, we got a lot of compliments, of course. And this is using speedtest.net. We were at 15 megabit per second just there in Port Vila, and we tested up to 18 megabit per second in the remote part of Vanuatu. And again, we're talking about a price of $2 per gigabyte. So it is finally something that is well within the budget of all those schools to provide real e-education. What really made my day is when I started seeing kids with a big smile on their face and starting to use the internet in all those locations. It was amazing. We've worked really hard for the last 3 years, and I tell you, setting up an operation like the one we've done, we've raised so far north of $130 million. We need still some fundraising, but we're pretty much there. It's not easy, especially in the financial situation currently. It's really difficult to raise this kind of money. But finally, the only thing that made it worthwhile was a smile on all those kids' faces. So we really believe that by serving all those places, all the 22 countries that we are covering, we will bring a prosperous future. Those are all the countries that have signed with us already. And those are very firm contracts, and we still have a lot of other contracts that we are negotiating. So we're very, very happy with the development of this technology. Again, we think that this is a bright technology for the Pacific. We don't think that all the locations need to be connected by cable. In fact, Port Vila is connected via cable. It's great for Port Vila, but it's only serving 30,000 people. We always, and Vanuatu is 240,000 people. So we still have 210,000 people to connect, and they can't connect them with the cable. So it's not because you land a cable in an island that you're connected, that you'll connect this country. And then finally, I want to emphasize that we have not a single donation in this business. It will be a real business, it will be sustainable. And whatever we raise and whatever we charge to the Pacific, it will be by far recovered by an increment in GDP for the whole Pacific. Thank you.